Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi ta'ala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alamin. Assalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Before we start, let's recite Ummul Quran Al-Fatihah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Shiratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Okay. So a very good afternoon to all participants who are joining this talk. So this talk is organized by the Department of Library and Information Science, DLIS. So this is the the first talk for industrial talk series organized by DLIS. So I am Dr. Nur Saada, one of the lecturer at the KICT, Kuliah of Information and Communication Technology, and will be the moderator for this session. So before we start, there are a few announcements that I would like to make. First, you can find the attendance link, okay, at your right hand side at the bottom. So you can access to the link for the attendance purposes. And then kindly mute your microphone throughout the session, the sharing session from the speaker. And then you can actually open or switch on your microphone once the Q&A session is ready. Okay, I mean in the Q&A session. And then the third one, the arrangement for this talk is actually 30 to 40 minutes given to the speaker to actually share on the contents or on the discussion. And then 10 minutes will be given to for a Q&A session. Okay, so so if you, let's say, if you have any questions, you may also write it down in the chat box, and I will read it for you. Okay, after this in the during the Q&A session. Okay, all right. So archival research generally can be defined as the process of locating, evaluating, and conducting the systematic interpretation, okay, and analysis of sources that could be found in the archives. So researchers, especially in the field of political science, sociology, business, for example, education, and etc., normally think that archival methods are the domain specifically for the humanity domain. Okay, so but in today's situation or today's world, actually we are leaping past such boundaries, and we in our disciplines, so we can actually benefit a lot from the archive institution. Okay, we can actually gain new knowledge or update the understanding from using the primary sources that are available in the archive. Okay, so I would like to actually invite the speaker. Okay, so a little bit introduction on the speaker. So Mr. Afham Jauhari Aldi is actually our postgraduate student, okay, at the Department of Library and Information Science, who are going to graduate in December 2022 this year. Okay, congratulations. And then he have a lot of experiences in managing in managing the archival resources, digital resources or digital materials in archive, electronic resources in archives. So Mr. Afham also one of the important or key person in the Ministry of International Trade and Industry, right? Okay.
Yes.
So I believe that all of us will benefit a lot from the talk today. So without further ado, let's welcome the speaker to share on the trends and current trends and practices in Malaysian archival. In the archival research in Malaysia. Okay, let's welcome Mr. Afham.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can you hear my voice? Okay.
Yes.
I hope
yes.
you hear clear. So today I've been given an opportunity to attend this session to share my my views, my opinion, and my experience to all participants, especially in archival research trends in Malaysia. Actually, this is not a new thing for in Malaysia, but it's quite less highlighted in academic research. So this is a good opportunity to us to know about what are the National Archives, since I'm working as an archivist at the National Archive of Malaysia. And I hope all the participants can take this opportunity to list down or take notes what I want to share today. So let me share my screen. Okay. So my presentation is current trends in Malaysian archival research. So I've worked with National Archives since 2010. It's almost already 12 years now. And last year I was transferred to Ministry of International Trade and Industry, MITI, as a record manager at this ministry. And by next week, tomorrow is my last day in MITI because I've got another transfer to go back to National Archives headquarters start this Monday. So it's a pleasure to be with you today to share my experience to all, especially in this domain for Malaysian archival research. Okay, so my presentation will be an introduction for what are the National Archives and what an archive is, and then we go to practices in National Archive of Malaysia, and I will show you what the context of what I'm going to share may help you for future researchers or LIS students to get to know National Archive further. And next, the archival research area and trends. What are the research that can be done, but can be highlighted for the future research. Okay, and last, we will have a Q&A session. Okay. Okay, archives. So I believe that some of you here have been to National Archives. Actually, we have invited twice DLIS to attend National Archive of Malaysia that's situated at Segambut here. And I believe also there are students in LIS, especially in DLIS, MLIS, have taken the subjects, archive and records and archive management. So today I want to share to you with what archive really is. So as we know, archive is an accumulation of historical records. So it must be not a current record. Current record is not actually not yet an archives. So an archive is actually a previous record that has historically have a memory a value for a person or organization. It can be in any media, maybe in papers or magnetic tapes or leaves or in a manuscript paper. So archives contain a primary source document that have accumulated over the course of individual organization, as I mentioned, in his lifetime, and it was kept to show the function and activity. That is the most important. It is a proof to show that the individual or organization what are the activities and function that it has been done, recorded. Okay. So the person that manage this type of primary sources document are called archivists. So as we know, library, they kept or preserve or manage books or publication are mainly secondary sources that been write or type in text that published from a primary sources. So the archivist is the person that manage this primary sources, whether start from its acquire process, its collect and preserve, and also its facilitate to provide the access of these primary sources. And also the archivist, of course, a profession that works at the archives, and it facilitates researcher and user that wants to use the archives. So the National Archive of Malaysia, if we talk into a Malaysian context, is the main archive institution in Malaysia. It was established or supported by National Archive Act 2003. Before that, we have an act, National Archive Act 1966, and it's highlighted the function and jurisdiction of National Archive of Malaysia. This is the highest law or act that support the National Archive of Malaysia functions, and it's preserved the institutional memory of Malaysia. So institutional memory means that all the information or the data about Malaysia historically are kept and preserved in the National Archives. So National Archive keeping the archive from various sources and also a various type of record and format. As you can see here, the public records, they are from the archive are from public records, especially from government agency, department, JLC, government link company, university and schools. There are also private papers that comes from prominent figure in any fields, maybe in economics, religious or sports, maybe in individuals, but also royals. There are also organization, sources from organizations such as NGOs, corporations, political party, or any private institution that have valuable information or valuable records. And these archives sources, they are also in many types. They are in files, government files. It's also be in documents, publishing, manuscript, newspaper, or agreements. It's also in form of audio, visual, such as tapes, cassette, photo, film, open reel. It's also have in the form of maps, plan, and poster. And nowadays we have a collection in digital formats and electronic records such as in PDF, Words, MPEG, WAV, and other digital formats. These are the materials that they are kept in the National Archive, and it's open for public to access these materials. It is a unique materials. It's the one and only. So it was kept very what we call some of the archive are quite fragile. So what we do is we digitize them and provide an access to public digitally. Okay. So these are some of the examples of the types of the archives kept in the National Archives. There are some files, as you can see here, government files. The oldest we kept in the National Archive is files is from 1874, 70s, 1870s, since resident of Perak and resident of Selangor established in Tanah Melayu lah. Okay. And we have also manuscripts. As you can see, there are Arabic manuscripts like Al-Quran, and also a Jawi writing manuscript, such as from royals' letters, and also from in English, as you can see here, Frank Swettenham manuscripts. So we also have audio, video. As you can see here, there are VHS tapes. In the 90s, quite famous VHS tapes. We can rent from shops to rent a movie, for example. We also have cassettes and black plate, piring hitam. We also have photographs in normal paper photographs, and also we have a microfiche here. Microfiche is a glass, a picture that fitted in a glass, small glass. If we want to see or watch the picture, the photograph, need some what we call lights that will pop up into the wall actually. Okay, it's quite a unique material. We also have agreements and newspapers. The oldest is from as you can see, they established in 1894, Perak Pioneer. There are no more Perak Pioneer. Okay. There are also publications such as magazines or annual reports from government agencies, etc. We also now we also have digital formats. We have what it's called here a video or film from the 1960s, and also been digitized. We have a PDF, the files digitized into PDF formats, and we also have audio recordings, especially the oral history recordings. Oral history mean we interview a person about certain topics, and the person will talk about the topic from his experience about the topic, such as communist period, or such as in Merdeka celebration, or other historical event that relates to our country. Okay. So I want to also highlight it. I want to take 3 more minutes to highlight some unique collection of National Archive of Malaysia. First is from Royal Collection, Sultan Abdul Hamid letters. Sultan Abdul Hamid is the 26th Sultan of Kedah, 1882 until 1943, his reign. So this collection are listed as UNESCO Memory of the World, one of the UNESCO Memory of the World that in Malaysia, besides Hikayat Hang Tuah and Sejarah Melayu, Suratul Salatin. So from this collection, Sultan Abdul Hamid has about 15 or 17 volumes of his letters that can be accessed at the National Archive of Malaysia. Actually, this is a volume of the letters. So you can imagine that you quite thick the collection of the letters, and all are written in Jawi and in all language, Malay language. So you can see if you researcher want to research about the linguistic views of the letters, or in terms of political event during his reign, or economic perspective during 1882 until 1943. These are one of the sources that very important for researchers, especially for social science researchers, history student, or political, and etc. Okay. These are some of the example of the handwriting of the Sultan Abdul Hamid. I believe there are efforts. There's not translation. We call it transliterasi. They romanize the letters. So I think there are publication about Surat Sultan Abdul Hamid during his period. Okay. Published by National Archive of Malaysia. So the second is the private collection from Tan Sri Zainal Abidin bin Ahmad, better known as Za'ba, Pendeta Za'ba. We call it Pendeta Za'ba. He's a writer and a linguist. He very popular or important figures in standardize the Jawi writings. Okay. So this is some of his collections that kept in the National Archive of Malaysia. Sorry for the because this from the system, the Kompas system that held in the National Archive of Malaysia. So the system is in Malay. So as you can see here, there are lambang, or the logo that he kept, and we have managed to acquire from his family. About 364 manuscript, 307 manuscripts. There are also agreements, posters, cartography records, audiovisual, and Surat Khabar newspapers and magazine 2642, publication 1893, and so many more, personalia, and this all of these materials can be accessed at the National Archive of Malaysia. Unfortunately, this records or archive not yet been digitized, but you can reserve from OFA. I will talk about OFA later, and you can read the material, the archive at the National Archive at the research hall, but you must register yourself as a researcher, then you can access these materials. So these are some manuscripts from Za'ba, all the kitab or books that was writing by handwriting during his lifetime. So one of the examples is Kitab Rahsia Ejaan Jawi. So all the original handwriting that not yet been published into books that used for what we say the publication for public, they are kept in National Archive of Malaysia. Okay. So we come to the second part, the practices in National Archive of Malaysia. So as you can see here, as I said, we are National Archive of Malaysia are backed by National Archive Act. In our act, National Archive Act 2003, Act 629, the roles of National Archive of Malaysia have divided into two main roles. One is for public sector records management, and second are archive administrations. For public sector records management, we are responsible to make a standard and procedures for creation and from creation of the government records until its disposal. So that is roles, the first role from National Archive of Malaysia for the public sector management. We control the records management environment, especially in public sector in Malaysia. So second is we has produced with Mampu, another government agency backed by CGSO, Chief of Government Security Officer, and cyber security. Have a system called Digital Document Management System. I will talk about it later. This electronic record management system has rolled out through all government agencies through phases from federal ministries until the states agencies. So in our public sector, all the ministry at Putrajaya and Kuala Lumpur has used this DDMS, Digital Document Management Systems. Okay. The second role of National Archive of Malaysia is the archive administration, whereby we acquire the archive from the government agencies, from the private or individuals, from the NGOs, and from what are the sources that the Director General of National Archive Malaysia believes that the records are valuable for the country. For example, we can acquire record from other countries, such as from United Kingdom or from Netherlands, that kept in their archives, such as from the National Archive of UK, from the National Archive of Netherlands, or maybe in Portugal or Spain or in any other part of the world. So then, once we have acquired the archive, we are processing the archives, we clean it, we key in into the system, give registered metadata, and so on and so forth. Then for the physical document, we need to preserve or conserve. If we see that the manuscript or files have damage or fragile, we need to preserve it so it can be long lasting, it can be used for researcher future use. So then we also, as an archivist, provide a reference and access services to the public or user, researcher, to use this archive for their works, such as they're using the reference, the archive for writing thesis or making publication, books, biography, and etc. And last, we also at National Archive, we need to give advocacy. We disseminate the information, the valuable record of the National Archives. That's why we sometimes National Archive organize a seminar or talks about history in Malaysia, about public figure, especially the statesman, the Prime Minister, so to disseminate the information from the archives. Okay. So after we have know the practices in the National Archive, there are two, record management and archive administration, I want to highlight deeper into what are the views in ICT and information science that relates in the record management and archive administration. So in record management practices in the National Archive, as I mentioned before, we have digital document management systems, DDMS, that been used since 2015 until now in all government agencies, ministries. And also we have second, the My Government Web Archiving. So this My Government Web Archiving, or MyGua, is a portal that or a system that can archive the government websites, all the government websites, especially the ministries and the special website, such as in 2017 we have what we call Sukansi, Sea Games 2017. They also has certain special websites. During COVID-19, we also have a special website called COVID Now, and until now it can be used. COVID Now, we can see the data about COVID every day. There's other special websites that published by the government agencies. So for archive administration, we have digitization. Of course, they have digital. We have still have physical documents that needs to be digitized for public access, and at the same time for digital preservation. As I mentioned, digitization, the preservation, we conserve the physical. If have tear on the papers, we paste it with tissue papers. And for digitization, the digital format also can be used as a digital preservation formats. So the physical are kept in the repository, and the researcher only use digital copies to refer the content of the archives. And the second one is online finding aids, OFA. This is my dissertation that I doing for my MLIS, during my MLIS course. And last, we have another system called Archival Management System, AMS. It's a quite unique system, and I will explain you further. So as I mentioned, DGMS is a cloud system for public sector digital record management. It was developed by Mampu and National Archive of Malaysia with CGSO and cybersecurity. So as you can see here, all the public records or the government agencies records are captured into a system. So you can imagine that there are now we have files, physical files, letters, report, minutes of meetings, or forms, schedule, email. They are all stored into a system called DDMS, and in DDMS we have classified each of these records into its classification, such as for 100 for administration, 200 for assets, 200 for land and asset, and 300 for assets, moving assets, and for 400 finance, 500 for human resources, 600 and 700 are for core business of the agencies, such as for MITI, 700 and 600 are for international trade, 700 for industry. So I hope we can talk about classification in other time, because it's another domain for records management. It's different from what we learn from LIS, that the classification for publications such as books, subjects, heading, and etc. But it's served as a classification of information that are managed by archivists, record managers, and for the subject heading for librarians. So these records management systems comply with the digital life cycle of government record, which includes electronic record from its creation until its disposal. So every government records, they have a certain period that how much we kept in the ministry, and then after a certain period or condition, it must be transferred to the National Archives, or it can be destroyed because if not be needed anymore. So you can also access this from anywhere, because it's a cloud system. The URL is ddms.malaysia.gov.my. So during the pandemics, the DDMS serve the public sector, whether we have a MCO, but officers, the government officers still run its business, because the government officers still can view and access their records at home at that time. So it's very useful and back up the government services during the MCOs. Okay. Next is my GUA, my government web archiving. So if you have any knowledge about web archiving, you also can relate to a machine called Webback. So Webback is you can Google about web archiving. There was a website that archiving all the websites since 1990s, including if you are a blogger, you can see what your blog do in the early 2000. So this Webback machine also implemented in the MyGua web archiving. So for National Archive of Malaysia, we only archiving the government website and selected website, as I mentioned before. So you can access the MyGua from through this URL, mygua.archive.gov.my, and you can see starting MyGua starts from 2017, I believe, and you can see the websites, government agencies website since 2017 until now. So they have a schedule for every agencies that National Archive will harvest or crawl into its database website domain, and harvest the website to capture the whole structure and information and store in our data center, in our National Archive of Malaysia data center. So you can see what are the websites such as, for example, what are Ministry of International Trade websites in 2017, because websites keep changing the information and keep changing the design of the website. So we kept the structure information what are presented in earliest years. So you can access the web archiving portal through this MyGua. Okay. So next is also audiovisual and documentization. As I mentioned, we have digitization projects since 2014. So approximately about 6.5 million pages of old documents since 1870s, 73 or 74. The Selangor Secretariat collections, and also various of government agencies that also been digitized into our systems. So we have also audiovisual, about 2,500 hours approximately, and the storage capacity about 1.2 petabytes, more than 1,000 terabytes, and all these are kept in our data center here at National Archive of Malaysia. And also we have achieved another milestone where NAM has what we call a dedicated disaster recovery center at Cyberjaya that only cater National Archive of Malaysia data that are different from public sector disaster recovery center at Cyberjaya. So all the data are kept securely, and of course all. And for your information, all the documents and all the audiovisual digitized are only the open status. The secret or confidential documents are not yet digitized to keep its secrecy and for security reasons. Okay. Next are online finding aids, then online tool about the metadata of the digitized archival materials that have been digitized, and all the metadata of our collection, all of our collection can be accessed through this offer. It will help, it's provide to help users to find information in a specific record group, collection, or series of archival materials. So you can access OFA through ofa.archive.gov.my. As you need to register first to use the system before you can search using keywords, or using, if you have the accession number of the items, you can just key in the number and you can go through its metadata. And for selected archive materials, they have been digitized, and you can read the first 10 pages. And then if you are interested to know, or to get the archive, you need to make some payments and some I believe arrangement with the archive officer to get the digital copies. Okay. And lastly is the archival management system, AMS. Actually, this AMS is quite a sophisticated system. It is a system that based on open archival information system model. So you can know more about this OAS model. You can Google or read more about OAIS, whereby this OAIS model system preserve the formats from obsolescence and able to perform format migration path, whereby for example, you have now you have .doc files, right? So for example, in 2030, you all over the world cannot access anymore .doc file, .docs. Maybe at the time we have .docz, .docz. So this system can prompt a message for archivists to make a migration path from this obsolete formats into a new formats. So this will make the formats, or the information in the formats can be read and can be accessed throughout times, whatever new formats are introduced. So this we call active preservation. Okay. And this system are supported by Preservica. You can Google what are Preservica, a company based in UK, and many archives in the world have used this system. But of course, when you use the system from outside of our country, there are payments that we need to make every year, so we can run the system without hindrance. So it is an opportunity for Malaysia actually, if they are a grant or student or a kuliah faculty or whatever companies that want to make a local system that comply with open archival information system model, we are really encourage them to try and develop our own systems. Okay. Okay. So what I'm trying to say, if what I share to you from the practices to the systems, the examples of the types and sources for additional archive. These are the archival contexts in ICT and information science views or angle. First, we have record creation, then the record have disposal period, and then after a certain period, the records come to archives. Okay. At the government records, such as email, letters, report, minutes, are captured and used at the current state. As mentioned, we have also government website. Government website also considered as records also, but it's a current record, not yet an archives. So as you can see, National Archive of Malaysia catered this government record using DDMS, as I mentioned earlier. Then we also have publications such from film, any media, private papers collection that from outside of the government. So we also have this kind of records outside, and all of these are considered as national memory. This national memory, if they have valuable, such as in terms of jurisdiction, laws, or national treasures in terms of heritage, such as documentary, we are considered these records as national memory. And for government records, after it come into certain period, they need to be retention schedule. We need to segregate the active records and the non-active records. So the non-active records, if they are valuable to the country, they are transferred. Yeah, transferred. And if they are not valuable, they can be destroyed. Maybe you can, if in terms of paper, you can burn or put it in paper mills. And if it has a valuable records, you can transfer it to National Archive. So same also publication, film, any media, private papers and collection that National Archive believe have the value to our country, they need also transferred to National Archives for long-term preservation. Then in terms of ICT, we transfer into a digital repository where we key in the metadata into a digital repository, as I mentioned, the data centers. And if the publication, the film in any media, private papers collection that in the physical form, they need to be digitizations. And if they are already in the digital formats, they can be put into archive, and also digital preservations. So this year, I mapped the government websites through MyGua. It directly can be preserved in our digital repository. So the AMS here serves to preserve the formats of the current digital format until it's achieve its obsolescence. Okay, and all of this digital repository, we provide access to a user, and whereby OFA comes to its roles to serve a user. You can search what are the data, what are the archive that you need to access. Okay. So in archival research area, okay, the main reason for my presentation today is about the archival research area. So the archival research area, we serve about two parts of archival research, as mentioned by Dr. Saadah earlier. There are mostly of the archival research are in the social science. Maybe you are a history student or anthropology students or political or economic student that wants to access historical data to make your thesis or publication. The primary sources are kept in the National Archive of Malaysia. They may be in statistics, maybe old manuscripts, or maybe government files, or maybe videos, film, or oral history, because some event they are not they tells in stories in oral history that we have recorded. And these are mainly the main user of the National Archives materials. Second is the archival research area is the ICT and library information science that can leverage is digitization and digital collection, as I mentioned. We have many more about 100 million more pages did not yet been digitized. There are some hindrance, some challenges. The researchers like you can learn about what are the challenges, what are the new techniques, what are the solution that can be suggested for the archive field to cater this digitization and digital collections. For digital record management, I've heard since 2013, 2014, there are also blockchain technology. We have heard the cryptocurrency and everything. We also use blockchain, but in record management, we also use blockchain technologies for especially for authenticity and security of the records, because it can be transferred by email and other etc. Alterations and other editing. So by using technology, how we manage to make the records authentic and secure. We also have archival research area in digital preservation or curation. As I mentioned, they are active preservation. So there are opportunity for all to make a local system for archival management system for OAIS model. There are also archive accessibility that in my dissertation, I focusing on online finding aids usability. Also digital archives. Then also we have information needs and information sources. Maybe you are interested to know what are archive are using for. So you can learn, you can research from the archive user what are their needs and what are the sources that they refer in the National Archive, or what are sources that not yet in the archives. So from that views, archives can ready themselves or try to cater the needs of the users. So all of these, we have big data, historical data in our, as I mentioned, digital repository. So you can doing data analytics, artificial intelligence, and other things that you use the data to make a new benefit from for the use of users. We also have legacy system archiving. Maybe I didn't hear in Malaysia yet, but in other countries there are some legacy system. The system that in the 1990s that not been used anymore. The system are preserved in whole what we call whole structure. There are many type of digital preservation for archiving. Maybe it's emulation, where we kept the the operating system. Windows 1998 still can be used in our environment like now, but in emulation environment. Okay. These are some of that I can think of for benefit of LIS students. So to know more about the research area, so I suggest to you can go to the websites about international conference, that especially in archive. There are in ICA annual conference, International Council on Archive, IASA annual conference, international conference on digital preservation, IPRES, CIPAVA, and SARBICA. Okay, so these are some of the international conference that you can look into. The nearest are the SARBICA, Virtual SARBICA International Symposium, 15 to 17 November, organized by National Archive of Singapore. If you are interested, I will share later after we maybe tomorrow or next week. Okay. Also next year IPRES in Illinois, US. So last September we have ICA Roma at Rome, and these are the opportunity for archivists or any individuals that are interested in archiving to know what are the latest trend, what are the discussing in the conference. So it's quite useful for profession like an archivist to know what are the a world trend in preservation or conservation of digital material. So I take some of the ICA teams at Roma archive bridging the digital gaps. You can read about it. I will share this slides later to you. And they are start discussing about disruptive technologies such as blockchain, big data analytics, Internet of Things, virtual reality, artificial intelligence, algorithmic techniques, and gamification that also changing our life and also the archival scenes. The impact of this technology to the records and archives, what are the challenges that need to be faced in relation to technological development, there are obsolescences of software, and what in the long term of digital preservation, the role of archive to help user to deal with the new technologies, and how archivists and record managers changing their professional profile, engaging to these technologies, and the distance between the different professionals working on records and archive, that's including record managers, archivists, librarians, lawyers and policymakers, etc. So these are the themes that have been discussed in international level that you can learn from them, and you can think what are research that you can look into for our countries. They also all journals like COMA, established by ICA. I'm not going to explain every one of these. So you can search journal about digital preservation, archivists, archival issues, and also we have in Malaysia, Malaysian Journal of Library and Information Science. You can look into what are the topics that relate to archive that you can learn from previous research. So for archival research trend in Malaysia, during my dissertation period for the last years, so these are some of the archiving area that I managed to find. They are quite not highlighted as international level. So as you can see here, from UMP, University Malaysia Perlis, the area of preservation, the conceptual paper, digital preservation strategies in archival institution, from University Malaya, information needs for user patronizing National Archive of Malaysia, and others from UTM, Minnesota, UITM, UNIMAS, UITM, and lastly, my dissertation about accessibility on the archive, usability study on online finding aids. So as you can see here, there are still opportunity for ICT researchers, LIS researchers, students to look into the archival domain, what can be done and what can be suggested for the benefit of the archival industry in Malaysia. So as a conclusion, the archival field in Malaysia is not new, but it is less highlighted in academic studies, and the area of research in archival field in Malaysia is still wide, and many areas still can be explored. As I mentioned, the big data, data analytics, digital preservation. The industry encourage postgraduate level to research on archival science in Malaysia, especially on the system, big data, digital archiving, and curation. So I think I end here, so we can open for Q&A. So that's all. I pass to back to Dr. Saada.
Okay, thank you very much to the speaker for a very fruitful and beneficial talk and sharing section of the experiences that the speakers have along 12 years, right? 12 years in serving the National Archive of Malaysia. So I guess the speaker already highlighted or successfully highlighted proposed a few new research areas that not only the humanities researchers, but also other than humanities researchers like us in library information science and information technology based research domain. So we can actually start think of new solutions of to be proposed to the National Archive of Malaysia. So I guess there are a lot of questions might be might be from the audiences. So I welcome everyone who wants to directly ask the speaker. So you can unmute your microphone. Okay, yeah. I think we have questions in the chat box. So from Brother Low, dear speaker, may I ask what is the most memorable, interesting experience for you when working in the National Archive of Malaysia and when handling the archives? Okay, second, regarding the oral history in archives collection, how to find out that the person is suitable to be interviewed for oral history recording? Does a National Archive have specific characteristics when choosing the interviewee? Thank you. Okay.
For first questions about the interesting experience working in NAM when handling archive. So the most interesting quite because it's so many interesting parts in my career in National Archives. I've been in digital archive sections where I manage the digitization projects in 2011 and 2014. And then excuse me, I want to take water. Okay, from 2014 until 2018, I was responsible for international relation with, as I mentioned, ICA, Sarbika, Sipava. So I've been a lot to countries to attend international relations programs. And then from 2018 until 2021, I worked in special research sections, where managing or doing research about national interests, about international borders, about our sovereignty rights between claim of Sabah and Philippines. We are search the records about the international issues regarding our countries with neighboring countries that I cannot mention here what are the issues, but we know the issues is actually the international borders, where I making research to the National Archive of Australia and some other neighboring countries to get the authentic record to support our claims. And so all of this experience for me are very valuable, and the most that I cannot forget is me and my bosses have given give trust to us to go to Timor-Leste to help Timor-Leste to digitize or develop their digitized environment, digitized projects, because as you know, the Timor-Leste have been in war with Indonesia for a long time. So the countries are torn apart. So some documents are missing or destroyed. So we try to save memory, the national memory of Timor-Leste. So there are some of the opportunity that I have. So yet these are not the end. Still many more to come in my career as an archivist. Still a lot more that I need to learn from the ground, from the actual experience. So this, I hope this answer your questions. And we move to the second question. The oral history, how to find out the person is suitable to interview for oral history recording. Okay, so I give you an example. The latest example, you know the Lahad Datu conflict at the Sabah, where our police or our security officers, I can say that we have a tension between the claimant from Sulu, and we lost our security officers to the police, about 5 to 10%. So what we interviewed the actual officers that involved in the conflict, from the top, maybe from the tactical and from the ground officers. They share their experience, because these are not written in what we call letters or minutes of meeting. They have they need to make decision on the ground at that time. So because of there are no records of official in writings, so we interviewed the actual person that still alive to share the experience. But of course, some of the information that they share that we recorded, they did not open for public until certain period. So what can be shared, they have an agreement. So we have responsible for kept the information until a certain period. But some of the information that they have recorded, they tell us that recorded can be accessed because it's in open and not sensitive reasons. So there are also some of political figures, such as from the Konfrontasi. So there are political figures that still alive. So we interviewed them. There are also another about darurat, about emergency in Malaya in 1960s. So we interview some of the elders that still alive. That we, of course, we have doing some research who are we need to interview, and some of the interview that we give the earlier questions, so they don't start the conversation or the interview by crying or by stating not an important information. So some of the questions are being briefed to them, and they only says what they need to say only. Okay, I think that answers your questions. Of course, we are cooperating with you. If the issues are about the security, of course, we are engaging with the PDRM, the ATM, and if about the academic, about the socials, we are engaging with the pejabat daerah, the district office, or from the university itself. They have the sources, so we collaborate with them to go to the target interviewee. So I hope this answer your questions.
Thank you, the speaker, for the response. Okay, for the answers. Any questions from the audience? Any more questions from the audience? So I guess we reach the end of the event. So inshallah, okay, thank you. Inshallah, we are looking forward to once again invite or have a meeting with Mr. Afham in order to share a lot more experiences or knowledge on especially on the archives, records, and management in future times, inshallah. Okay, thank you very much to the organizer, the Department of Library and Information Science, and also to co-organizer, Office of Responsible and Research Innovation. And thank you to all participants who are joining this session today. So before we end our session today, I would like to call for everyone to switch on the camera so that we can take a photo for photo session. Okay. Okay. Let's switch on your camera. Maybe that Dr. Lainey can switch off the camera. Okay. Okay, Brother Lau, maybe Brother Lau can open the camera. Okay. Okay. Right. So, okay, never mind. Okay. So I will take the photo. I will capture the photo. Okay. 3, 2, 1. Okay, thank you, everyone.
Right.
So let's benefit from the talk, and inshallah, I believe each one of you needs to have at minimal level to think about future topics for your research, either it's dissertation or your DRP. Okay, so
I also
inshallah,
have shared the slides
okay,
at
inshallah,
the
thank you.
chat comment. Okay.
Okay, thank you. Let's end our session today with Tasbih Kafarah and Suratul Asr. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Subhanakallahumma wa bihamdika, asyhadu an la ilaha illa anta, astaghfiruka wa atubu ilaik. Okay, thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi.